Okay. I think we are live. Let's make sure connection's good. Hi, am I live? Hi everyone. I feel like, we missed a week and all of a sudden I'm brand new again and trying to get my bearings. Um, Make sure we're set up well. Please let me know if you can see me and hear me. And this is why I can't see anything. There you go. Much better to see than not. Okay. Hi. Okay. I um, okay. Let me make sure I'm with my team and everyone's good. Uh, Say hi if you're watching. Hi, Chelo. Hi, and Ruth. Awesome. Okay. And please let me know. Audio good, everything good and clear. Whoops. Yes, we'll wait a few more minutes for people to come in. I apologize, I had a little trouble connecting, so we're starting a little late. But I will promise to pack everything in so it's get a lot of quality and a lot of skin sites in this amount of time. But yeah, definitely. Hi, Anne. Yay, thank you very much. Anyone else? Let me know if you can see us. Say hi. Hi, Nina. And yeah, where you're watching from. That would be cool. We've gotten people from, I think, Egypt and Mexico, Maryland and Utah regularly. Um, I think at one point we had folks from Nepal, Russia, even once, I think, although it's a real difficult time in the morning to make. Um, but yeah, okay. I think, yeah, we'll give it a little longer and then start. Hi, Cian. How do I pronounce your name? Cian? Happy Thursday indeed. I, for one, really, really need the weekend. I'm kind of excited for the weekend. So, oh, wait. Huh? Ah, sorry. Okay, so yes, wait. I have to tell my team we're making sure the technical everything is okay. Okay. How are we doing? Good? There's Casey, Cian. Okay, I'm glad I got that right. And Dino. Hi, Dino. Morning. Oh, I'm excited. I hope you ask us a question. There's a lot I want to get through today. Um, So, okay, I will start. It's kind of my fault. I started a little bit late this morning. I was having a little trouble with the connection. But in order to make sure we pack as much in to our hour today, I will start. So, basically, welcome to Skin Sites on Men, Skin, and Health, Part 2. I think someone's joining us.
Hello.
Hi! You want to come join me in the beginning?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. This is Gavin. He's my son. So, yeah, we're going
Oh
to be
my
talking about
god,
men's
the
skin and
chair is
health.
so cold.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so Father's Day is around the corner. When is Father's Day?
Sunday,
Sunday,
which is
exactly.
June. I'm
June 20. It's the third Sunday in June is Father's
yeah.
Day. So, perfect time to do another session on men's skin, health, and hair. The
Oh, that's what
first,
this topic was.
yes,
We were discussing it.
but it's sort of part two, but not really, because the first one we did was about hair loss primarily. And since then, we've done a live stream on hair, which you can catch a replay of. Um, hey, Gavin. Sup,
Hi.
Dre, he says. And Jennifer says
Hello.
hi. Folks are saying hi. So that's why we'll sort of dive into men's skincare. And he started skincare, right, last year at 10. So that'll be interesting as well.
I also had a bad burn, but it's healing.
That's true. He burned himself really bad. He was
Like
cooking. Or
I
he
was cooking and
and
I
look.
got a really big burn.
But what did you put on there to help?
Boo Boo Balm. I actually put 3 layers.
Okay.
I put Boo Boo Balm,
That's-
Monolaurin, the Monolaurin gel thing, the 4% Monolaurin.
Yes.
Yeah, that one. I
And
don't
Red
think they-
Better.
Wait here.
That's the camera we're using, darling.
You
up
can't
there.
see it.
Up
The
there.
I know, but
Yeah, there's nothing to see anymore. No discoloration.
well, there's a tiny
And
bit
Jennifer
of
is
discoloration.
watching on behalf of her hubby. Fabulous. Okay, so let's make sure we get ahead. I know Gavin likes doing this part.
All right, so don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, which is at VNV Group.
No, VMV Hypoallergenics.
VNV Hypoallergenics. Sorry,
That's okay.
VNV Group is stuck in my mind for some reason. But please subscribe and turn on the notification bell in YouTube so that you don't miss out on any new videos.
We're
that
so
we
close to
will
hitting
post.
like 1,000 something is what we
I
need to get
know.
over. So please subscribe. Tell
Please
your
subscribe.
friends.
We need to get to 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah,
that's our goal.
That's the initial goal, and then later we'll shoot
and then
higher.
we'll
Shoot
try
higher.
to go to 5,000.
Yes,
10,000,
this is the goal.
20,000,
Okay, so anyway, and
500
please
million.
comment with your questions as early as possible so I can make sure to get to them.
Yes.
And if there's anything that's really VMV specific in question, I'll tackle them before or after my mom is here, his grandmother, to
Yeah.
make sure, or his Lola, to make sure that we have her concentrate on the more dermatological, sciencey stuff.
Okay, I'm sorry, but that looks so comfortable.
It really
This
is.
chair,
It really is.
it looks very comfortable. I want that chair.
Well, I'm not going to switch with you now, so maybe later.
But can I get the chair?
No. Okay, so the main thing to remember in terms of men's skincare is that under a microscope, skin cells are skin cells. Unless a condition affects specifically certain hormones or pregnancy or the genitalia, there really isn't much difference, right? Even with different races, if you look at skin cells under a microscope, they're actually the same thing.
Yeah.
How
same
they
thing.
differ is in how much pigment they produce,
Ah, yes, I remember this.
right?
Pigment is I learned this in grade like 1 or 2, like just a simple crash course.
Yeah.
So I'm rusty.
That's okay. That's
so
why
pigment
he's here.
is how much sun reaches your
Melanin.
skin, right?
No, pigment is the color that your skin produces. Melanin is what it's called. And the cells that produce melanin are called melanocytes.
What
The
is
sun
it with
triggers
doctors
them
and
to produce.
complicated names?
Okay. Yes, I know we need Armada Baby, Armada Post Procedure. It's really been tough with stocks. Some of it has been because of our own struggles with COVID, but also all of our suppliers have really gotten hit by COVID. So they've had difficulties importing raw materials. Some have had to stop operations for months at a time. So we really feel the frustration, and I promise you there is no other priority that is above our stock situation. So I swear to you, blood, sweat, and tears are being given to the stock situation. And I love,
we're
I
also
love
vaccinated.
Anne's first question, which is how to get my husband to even start. I think that's a brilliant question. I'll make sure to get to that. But okay, so going back to this, different genders and races and countries can have skin conditions that are more or less common, but treatment that's clinically proven to work for a skin problem should work actually across men and women for different races, right? So that's why you don't tend to see a topical steroid that says for men and for women. It's why you
Yeah.
don't tend to see like Botox for men or for women, or laser machines for men or for women, because it's really for the skin or the hair condition.
Because they're the
right?
same.
Yeah, very similar. What might change is, for example, if I'm a mixed race person and I go for a laser treatment, I need to go to someone who is much more familiar with hyperpigmentation, because mixed race skin and darker skin tones tend to hyperpigment.
Also, I have a question.
Okay.
Usually, girls' hair grows longer, if I'm correct.
No.
Or do
It's
just
a
cut it?
society, yeah. It's a societal cultural preference. Some
But whenever
cultures.
my hair grows long, it's not really curly. So it
Because
looks
you have
like
different hair
yours.
from your sister.
Yeah, it looks like.
Okay, let me make sure I get
No,
through
I
this.
like it.
I have to call in your Lola. So anyway, a lot of the gender stuff that you see on packaging is really a marketing thing. So at VMV, our skincare has never said for, just for men, for example. It's really for all genders for this reason. So when you're looking at VMV for stuff to use, don't look for gender. Don't look for what gender you identify with or your sex. Look for your skin concerns. So, for example, for hair care, one of the things I'm sure we're going to talk about with my mom as well, Hair loss is genetic and has to do with hormones, but it can definitely also be affected by exposomes. We'll talk about that later. But one of the things that can help, things that you do or eat or whatever. So like using shampoos or conditioners with skin stressors like allergens and irritants.
No, sorry.
It's over there. Can certainly not help with hair loss, right? So using Essence Superwash or Clark Wash, or even if the scalp is already very irritated or the follicles are irritated and very stressed, something even milder like Clark Wash or Cool and Clean is a good idea.
Sorry.
And conditioner from the Essence line. No?
I got it.
And then in terms of cleansers for your skin, you're kind of spoiled with the choice. Again, you sort of choose. What I personally use, and this is sort of going to that whole idea about not being genderized, is our scrub from the shaving line. So this is the pre-shave scrub. I use that. I like the coffee. I like the smell of the coffee in the morning. I like that it's scrubby, but not too scrubby. As I've gotten older, my skin has gotten drier. So that's what I use. But literally, you use what you want to use from our line depending on your skin concern. I can do two, you can do two. So for example, you can get from our Super Skincare line. Whoops, that's here. Or if you have rosacea, it would be the
right here.
The Red Better Cleanser. If you need like brightening, you would use from Illuminance, or everything for anti-aging. If you wanted like a moisturizer, any of our moisturizers again would be great. Or if you don't like using a lot of products, but you do have to shave, the shaving line is specifically designed precisely so it's multi-purpose. So your aftershave already, for example, you can use the aftershave salve, which is great as a moisturizer for very sensitive skin. Or you can use the aftershave gel or toner, which is for bumps or acne, right? And then you don't have to use two different products. So there. And then Armada is also key, which is basically your choice of an Armada. And dry skin and dandruff, this is sort of related. Either of our virgin coconut oils, which is Noah oil or oils, well.
So many products.
Kinda. So it's really, you're spoiled with a choice is basically.
A very big
The difference
choice.
between Clark Wash and Cool and Clean is actually not all that much, except Cool and Clean is even gentler. So less surfactants, less bubbly. It's really meant for babies. And for newborns, you dilute it even further in a bath. But it has, Clark Wash, it just has a little bit more of a cleansing feel to it and a little more bubbles, but far less than Superwash. And Cool and Clean is really almost nothing. You wouldn't feel anything there, but it really is for the most sensitive skin conditions and for newborns. On that note, yes, you can show that. So, spoiled with a choice. You can get all this stuff at vmvhypoallergenics.com internationally and .ph in the Philippines. Also, in the U.S., we're giving away a really cute baseball cap, which I meant to show off.
Can I have one?
I know. We'll see if we have extra to spare for us. Plus 20% off all of EGC's digital gift certificates. And we're apparently giving away on this live stream the VMV cap to 3 winners. So make sure that you comment with your questions and we'll be announcing the winners at the end. And remember, you can private message us your patch test results, and
we can customize recommendations for you
based on your allergens.
See, perfect. I remember stuff.
Locally in the Philippines, we also have a big sale going on for skincare and makeup, and then our facials are back in some boutiques, all with strict safety protocols. Armada 45 and 60 are back in stock, along with Essence Superwash.
Hold on, you're talking too fast.
Okay, and then remember, in the Philippines, yes, our stores are open. You can find which are open at vmvhypoallergenics.ph at the store locator, and we offer curbside pickup, and we're on Viber, and we just launched a home service for patch testing. So PM us if you're interested.
We're everywhere. We're everywhere.
Right. And if you're interested in a teleconsultation with my mom or another dermatologist we work with or nutritionist, PM us as well. So, finally, before I call in my mom, may I just share how happy I am that there's so many more people who identify as men who are being less uncomfortable about talking about skincare, because bottom line, folks, skincare is healthcare. Traditionally, it's been marketed to women and sort of made to seem like a vanity issue. It's not. It really is about healthcare, which I think we all learned in COVID, right? The majority of COVID infection actually comes in from the skin. So the skin is really, really important. So now I will call in our founding dermatopathologist, my mother, his Lola, Dr. Vermin Varallo Rowell. We have a lot of great questions already, so I will make sure to maximize her while we have her, because she's super busy. She's actually not even well, folks, and she showed up.
Yes, she has. Do I
Are
share?
you feeling better today?
I feel a little bit better, but a little bit woozy, but a little better.
She has vertigo,
Vertigo, yeah.
so
A little bit woozy.
if you see her start doing this, I'll hold her and try to make her still. But you're okay?
I'm okay.
Sorry about the noise, by the way. I'm trying to.
Later na, babe. We'll clean up later so we can just continue
But
with
I
Lola without the
only
noise.
like 3 more products. So.
God. Okay, so you can Google my mom for those of you who have joined or just joining us for the first time. She's this hyper published doctor who has hundreds of papers published internationally in peer-reviewed journals. She's regularly asked to talk about really an amazing range, if you think about it, from psoriasis to hyperpigmentation
To
contact
dermatitis,
dermatitis
to
everywhere in
photonemia.
the world. And yeah, she, as a dermatopathologist, what I also really like about her for this particular topic is she really sees people of any gender, because she sees the most serious skin cases, which is really not a vanity thing, right? So she'll see people who are hospitalized, etc. So there, how are you?
I am very good, except for the.
Except for the vertigo.
I feel like I'm a, what do you call it? Roller coaster.
Roller coaster. Well, could you give us maybe
Hello,
just
everybody.
a quick overview on men's skincare or skin and hair?
Yes.
Like the biggest issues maybe that you see from your male patients.
Yes.
And then we'll go to questions right away, because we have a lot of great ones.
Okay. The basic pathology, the basic anatomy of the skin is really the same for men and women. You know, there's the stratum corneum, which is now a very big focus for us dermatologists, which is called the barrier layer of the skin, the brick and mortar kind of barrier there. That's very important. And then next to that would be the cells of the epidermis. Then below that would be the dermis, and below that the subcutaneous fat. So that's the skin.
And it's the skin on anybody.
On anybody.
Right?
It does differ in different parts of the body. Of course, the palms and the soles are different, right? The scalp skin is very interesting because it's got microbiota, which is quite different from the rest of the body. It's microbiota on the surface of our skin that helps us in conquering all sorts of metabolic and processes that are going on.
Actually, on
But
that note,
otherwise, yes.
we got several questions sort of in a row about dandruff.
Yeah,
What causes it? What's the best thing to do about it?
right. The primary cause is really an organism which is a normal inhabitant of that scalp. It's called, used to be called Pityrosporum, it's now called Malassezia. And that particular organism tends to increase in numbers when the microbiota of the scalp is disturbed. And it can be disturbed when the barrier layer, due to the use of shampoos or lotions or things that you apply on the scalp, are irritating to that scalp. And for instance, people who have thinner hair, they will get dandruff here up on the top, basically because of exposure to light from above, which may be a photosensitizer when they're taking some kinds of a drug that's photosensitizing, like many of the hypertension medications or diabetes medications. And so it depends. I recently had a patient actually who had, very interestingly, dandruff here on two areas of the scalp. And it wasn't until after some detective sleuthing questions about what do you do in those areas, I found out that he was using a for snoring, that gadget,
The apnea.
and it has that thing here that
And he was allergic to the
yeah,
rubber.
and he was allergic to that.
Okay,
Right.
so in a nutshell, right? Dandruff, you're not.
Can be from molestation, number
Right,
one.
okay.
But very often the reason it's overgrowing is because certain things are happening in the scalp skin. All right?
Right. Or, okay, so dandruff is really, though, an imbalance in the microbiota. So that the malassezia is going a little,
Basically, yes.
right? It's having too much of a party.
Right.
Okay. But it can also be, it's not dandruff, but flaking on the scalp can also be from an irritation or an allergic reaction to something.
Yes, of
Right.
course.
So sometimes the flaking may not even be dandruff. So that might be something to first clarify with your dermatologist.
Mhm.
Is it actually dandruff, which is a fungal condition, or is it skin that's flaking because it's so dry because it's irritated from an allergen in your shampoo or your gel or something
Or
like
you're up,
that?
yeah.
Right.
For men, for instance, when they're using waxes and
Right.
gels in the scalp,
Or your pillow.
yeah, and
your
then it drips down
pillowcase.
into the scalp skin when they're exercising.
Right. For
Yeah.
example.
So I always tell them, don't put that on before you go. You can put a little bit of it
It
after
can also be a
exercise.
sign of psoriasis, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And so if it's really chronic flaking, it really might be time to ask your dermatologist for a more definitive diagnosis
Yeah.
because it can be a few things.
Often
right?
it begins with dry, itchy skin of the scalp, and then it becomes what a dermatologist at the beginning may call seborrheic dermatitis, which is basically that, an overgrowth of the Malassezia organisms. But if now it becomes thick red patches and in areas, it's not generally not all over the scalp, then you have to think about this is
Psoriasis.
already psoriasis.
I have a follow up question here. Oh, you guys are so fun today with these questions. They're awesome. Is it related to stress?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. What you'll find today is yes. As long as you ask, is it related to stress? The answer is yes. Everything is related to stress.
Yeah, because stress is inflammatory.
Exactly. Stress is
It incites
inflammatory.
inflammation, and so therefore, whether the stress is from an emotional stress or from stress due to the environment or stress from your food or stress from lack of sleep, stress from, you know, what else? The pollution in the air that's getting
Yeah,
into you,
stress isn't just mental stress. Remember, it can also be from things irritating your skin.
or stress from contact or
Yeah.
photocontact dermatitis.
Okay, Laurel has been asking, and I'll make sure we answer this now. We will see it. You don't need to repost. Don't worry. We have people taking notes of all of your questions. We will not miss it. Do we need to use shampoo every day, or how many times is it recommendable?
Now, it depends again.
Yeah.
If you happen to have dry skin to start with, shampooing every day, especially if you tend to, it's dry, and so therefore you're going to be using a dandruff shampoo, which may have salicylic acid, may have chemicals in it that will only irritate the skin and make it more dry. That's not a good idea. But if you're going to use a very mild, bland shampoo just to cleanse and then use it once, do not stay in the shower and scrub, 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 because then you're damaging the stratum corneum, the barrier layer of the skin. You know, but you can shampoo every day even if you've got dry
Yeah.
scalp.
I'd like to.
Then what you would do is firstly you must use something very mild.
Yeah,
Secondly, you have to
there
be
you
very
go.
gentle on your scalp. And then thirdly, after that, you may want to apply a little bit of a coconut oil, which is always my favorite, into the scalp, for instance, and a little bit in the hair.
Right.
That would help.
Right. So I don't, for example, shampoo my hair every day if I can help it because as I've gotten older, I've changed from oily skin to dry skin, which tends to happen as you get older. You produce less oils, less
Right.
sebum, right? So I actually find I don't need to shampoo every single day. And if I do, then I might risk some flaking. But also, what I've done is I've switched shampoos to an even gentler one than what I was using when I was younger. And I'm pretty happy with that. So I do think it depends on how dry your scalp is to begin with. And then, like she said, use something that is allergen free, irritant free. All those medicinal shampoos, make sure you check with your doctor because you might actually be adding to the problem of the imbalance of the microbiota in the scalp, or you might be adding irritation, correct? And what she loves to do, that trick that she told you, she'll suggest either put VCO, virgin coconut oil, or petrolatum on the scalp even before shampooing to really protect a scalp that is very red and irritated and sensitive, right? So there. Yeah,
There
it's
was
like an
something I
instant
was going to
consult.
share, but
That's
it's
exactly right.
I'll get back there.
Elena Maria was like, it's like an instant consult. That's exactly right. That's exactly why we do this. She said, for those of you in the Philippines, she said it reminds her a bit of her days when she would do Kapwa Ko Mahal Ko, for those of you old enough to remember what that was. So I remember you
right.
said that
Rosa
to me
Rosal.
once. Yeah, exactly. So, okay. I have a question. My father has some white hairs But there are very few when again, my father had some white hairs, but there are very few, and then his white hair turned back to black. What's the explanation for that? That is so cool. This is from Leah. This is interesting, right?
That's really very interesting because I have the same
She
kind.
has the same
I
experience.
have so many black hairs growing now because after cancer, it would seem as though the stem cells were awakened by the drugs that were being given, because the drugs that are being given, and in part, in order to kill the malignant cells, right? But on the other hand, they always give you a cocktail. In addition to it, they give you a steroid, they give you, it's all by IV and all that. And I think, and then they also follow it up with newer biologics now that also improve or cancel out the inflammation coming from both the cancer as well as from the anti-cancer medication that they're giving. So there's a cocktail of things. And I believe truly that there is a stem cell activation. The stem cells are, this is your hair follicle, like that. This is the hair coming out. This is the root of the hair, right? And that's way deep in the scalp. So over here at about the middle portion is what you call a mantle of the hair. And that mantle is where the stem cell comes from. I think those stem cells are awakened by some of the drugs. That's just my way of thinking about
Interesting, huh?
why. I haven't seen an article of explaining why people after
Years
after
of white hair.
yeah, after years of white hair, which I had since my 50s, here I'm giving these cancer treatments and the maintenance immunologic drugs. And oh my gosh, I've got beautiful black hair. And not only that, my hair is getting curly and thick. So, what was the question then? Why did I go into
Why
that?
did it go? So he had very few
Why
white
did your
hairs.
father?
Yeah,
Why?
go from white to black.
Right. So, take a look at what medications is being given, for instance. He may be given some medications which are stimulants
Interesting.
to his
Or maybe something in his
his
diet.
thyroid, his
Yeah.
diabetes. There are so many new drugs that are being given.
Okay, I have a nice one that's sort of a follow-up, so I'll go to that first, no? Pag cold season, lumalabas ang dandruff ko. So in the cold, my dandruff comes out. I try to use anti-dandruff shampoo, but it still happens. What would you recommend?
Don't use anti-dandruff shampoo because basically the anti-dandruff shampoos are meant for oily skin. But in the wintertime, what happens is that you have much lower humidity indoors, plus outdoors. There's little water in the air, and so therefore, your scalp, especially if you're the kind who shampoos her hair for 15 or 20 minutes in the shower,
Don't do that.
using very hot water, scrub, 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 there's the trauma and there's the heat. So that will make it worse. So in the wintertime, always be gentle, more gentle on your hair.
Which ties into this question by Elena Maria. Been thinking if hot or cold water have an effect, and if wet,
Absolutely.
yes, which is better. Yeah, they
Yeah.
do.
And
And
cool. If
is
you cannot
better.
tolerate cold water, then at least
Lukewarm.
lukewarm will be
Yeah.
good, but not the. I know a lot of people who use really hot water. They love
and
it.
for a long time.
Yeah.
So for those who are hearing, right, if we are going to summarize what she said, look for lukewarm water, water pressure not so strong, right?
That's right.
Because we're really trying what she's basically trying to do, if you really listen to all the tips she's saying, is lessening the inflammation. That's what you want to do, right? If the scalp is already very dry, irritated, there's already an imbalance, you want to think gentle, gentle, gentle for everything. So less water pressure, less heat, less irritating ingredients, less stress,
Yeah.
right? All of that.
This is a very, very thin film, like saran wrap, called the stratum corneum, way up on the surface of the skin. That's what protects us against the world. And what happens when you dry it up, what that means is that stratum corneum, the lipids are decreased so that the water from inside you is able to evaporate.
Right.
That's what we call the transepidermal water loss.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that to happen by removing or minimizing that barrier layer of the skin way up on top. You have to be very gentle on it, and this is why I always like using an oil that is not just mineral oil or petrolatum, but it's got to be an oil that is organic.
Barrier repair
So
also.
yeah, it has got to have fatty acids to contribute to the lipid membrane of the cells. All cells are covered by a cell membrane which is double lipid. They face each other a lot. So they have to be contributed to by fatty acids. And when you apply the oil, like coconut oil, soybean, safflower, olive oil, or whatever is your favorite argan oil, they can contribute fatty acids. Now, that will be another subject. What kind of fatty acids? And this is where you would be selective as to what kind of oil, of course, to be applying there. But
Okay.
an oil
Again, in
after.
summary, and then because dandruff has come up quite a bit, first, the diagnosis is important because dandruff can be a fungal condition, or it can be a contact dermatitis, contact irritation, or it can be psoriasis. So make sure you get a proper diagnosis first. Second, you really want to think gentle, gentle, gentle.
It can even be
Ingredients-
secondary, excuse me,
Yeah,
love.
yeah.
It can even be secondary to an internal problem, like if you have a thyroid
true.
disease,
That's right.
you're hyperthyroid
Right.
or hypothyroid, that scalp skin suffers from the
Yeah.
lack of or from the excess of the hormone.
Right. So, there. I want to make sure I get to some other stuff that is here about hair loss after shampooing or shampoo conditioner that has to do for hair loss or to prevent hair loss. So, yeah, a lot of questions about hair loss. So,
Hair loss, you must understand that we have hair loss every day.
mhm.
You know, because our hairs, over a 2 year period of time, undergo what we call a phase of growth. It's continually growing for about, I'd say, about 2 years. And then that's what we call the anagen or growing phase, where, going back to my hair root, the hair root here in the in the middle portion of of your skin, it continues to grow. It continues to grow from here, so that you have to keep cutting it. It's coming from the root, right? That's called the anagen phase. Then biologically, naturally, God has willed for our hair follicles to go into a rest phase called telogen. So it goes into a short catagen and then the telogen phase, which lasts about 2.5 to 3 months. So 2 years of continually growing, so every month or 2 or 3 you have it cut, and then all of a sudden it no longer. And that's about 85% of your hairs are in the growth phase. Then it goes into telogen, that's about 15% of your hairs. So that, because of that, after about 2.5 to 3 months, is what I said, when the bulb that went into
So
quiescence
detailed.
and wasn't producing any hairs, it rests, it then begins to grow again, like a seed has now sprouted a new hair, and it pushes the old hair that was there, and
it
that's
goes
why
out, it falls.
yes,
Okay,
those
so,
are your telogens.
but here's the thing. Okay,
Sorry,
we're
it was
talking about
too-
hair loss, hair loss, hair loss, right?
Yes.
Hair loss may or may not be affected by your shampoo and conditioner, or rather, shampoo, conditioner, anything that you put on your hair can certainly help or hurt the hair loss, right?
Right.
But hair loss is also very frequently a hormonal condition that is hereditary, right? So the most common is the
The male androgenetic
alopecia.
alopecia and the female, which they now call differently. They don't call it female androgenetic alopecia. It's just female alopecia, I think, because they're not all due to the androgens. In the male, it's because
Androgen.
they have hormones, the male hormones, which as they grow older becomes depleted, and so then they start to shed hairs. In those who have the gene for it, that's why it's called the androgen, genetic alopecia.
Right.
And, it's a
It's a
inherited
tougher
trait.
thing to fight, let's say.
But there are lots of things that can be done for it now.
Exactly. So to add to that, let's say that you have androgenetic alopecia, right? And you also use very fragranced or very strong shampoos and conditioners and gels with mega allergens in it, and then you don't get enough sleep. You don't exercise. You eat junk food all the time. You're hyper stressed. You're basically helping the alopecia along. You are helping the baldness along because you're causing all this inflammation, correct? if you eat an anti-inflammatory diet, very healthy, you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, you manage your stress, you exercise, you do all these things, and you use allergen-free stuff on your hair and your scalp, maybe you won't stop the baldness, but at
But
least
you'll
you're
slow
not
it down.
encouraging it
Right.
forward, right?
Correct. Very
So
good.
there. So yeah, part of it would I guess try to diagnose if you have alopecia, right? Your doctor can help you with that. And if you do, there are several medications that can work very
Right.
well.
There are
Um,
several medications. Some of them, of course, go into the surgical, which I will go into because I love that. I used for 10 years. I did with a partner. We did hair transplants here in the Philippines on famous scalps. But later on, when it became from the 4 millimeter and 3 millimeter, 3.5 and 3 millimeter punches that we were doing, removing it from here because the hair here is never affected by the genes. So they continue to grow, and that's why the pattern of men baldness is in the most severe, you will still have the stuffed hair of hair. So you can get this as the donor area, punch out the follicles, and put it there.
mhm.
And then the more modern version of that is that one hair or two hairs are harvested, and each one is put into the scalp to make it really look so natural. So that's great. That is
A possibility.
a possibility. And the I would call them the artists who doctors who
really
do this
good.
are really terrific at this.
And then
Takes 10 to 12 hours.
there's
by
also
the way.
minoxidil.
Yes, but before we go there,
Okay, okay.
the chemicals that are used that can deter, that can minimize the quick shedding of the hairs is really first minoxidil. It's been around for many many
Edith
years.
Legaspi is a
Ay!
patient of yours from 1988.
Oh my gosh, hi Edith.
Okay, so anyway.
So minoxidil has been around for quite a long time. I remember when it first came out, I would go to Hong Kong and buy the minoxidil tablets and crush them and mix them into minoxidil here in the Philippines when there was no minoxidil yet. But of course, it's available now in 2, 4, 6, 7% even minoxidil. It works, but not as quick uh, in the lower concentrations do not work so well. So you have to go to the higher concentrations, like 6%. But what I do now in my clinic is I actually mix it together with another intervention which is topically applied called finasteride. And then there's even a dutasteride.
Finasteride, dutasteride, minoxidil, hair transplants. There's lots of options. There are
Right.
even injections.
There's
right?
more, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's
You
more.
can get blood from you, and we can take blood, and then we can get that platelet part which has the growth factors in it, and then that is then diluted and injected into the
Yeah,
area it
so-
grows. And the more modern one, the more recent one of those injectables is we will get bunches of hair again from here because these grow. They're put into some mixer solution, so it becomes a solution. It's then injected, and because it's your own hair that is very normal, it will also, instead of just being the growth factor from your blood, it is now the stem cell from the hair follicles in your back that are injected. Works wonders.
So lots of options. So the shampoo, there's no hair growth shampoo that will work, right? Also because it's washed off. But shampoo can help or hurt in terms of contributing to the inflammation and hastens, make it faster, the baldness, or help slow it down. But in terms of interventions to actually help with regrowth, there are many, many, many options. And for that, you definitely need to talk to your dermatologist. Okay, lots and lots of questions. Holy moly. Here we go. Is there a shampoo for baldness? We've just talked about that. Anna's asking, my husband doesn't grow his hair anymore. He just shaves his head. Does he need a pre-shave product or shampoo is fine? Does he need a pre-shave product or is shampoo okay? I can answer
I
that.
see. So he's still shaving his head.
Yeah.
I see.
So he doesn't let it grow out anymore.
Yeah,
He just
I know
shaves it.
some men who do that, which
Yeah.
is really quite
I know
nice.
a lot.
Some of them have very beautiful head,
Head
shape.
shapes, yeah.
And
I've wanted to do it actually.
I
wanted a
I have a
mohawk.
75-year-old patient who really looks
I
terrific
know
with
that.
shape. I'm not going to give you any names. He looks terrific with his bald head that he shaves off as well. It must be like your husband then. The most important thing is to recognize the kind of skin that you now have.
Nona Torres says hi.
Hi, Nona.
Sorry, go
Love
ahead.
this one. I love this young lady. I always call her a girl. What can I do? Sorry, Nona. So you must recognize what kind of scalp it is. If he has now, he's now he's shaven, remember, and he goes out jogging underneath the sun, and he's exposed to the elements and all of that. Obviously, you'll have to use something that's
yeah.
really mild,
It's skin,
right?
so
Yeah.
the scalp is skin. You
Right.
would treat it as skin care,
Right.
right?
And then if he is indoors, he does his sweating and weights and all that indoors basically. Well, he sweats a lot, and people who perspire may tend nowadays to develop sweat acne. They're little follicular little papules that is. You call it sweat acne, but it's again due to that Malassezia species.
It's a
That's there.
folliculitis.
And then they will grow on those follicles, and so sometimes I actually give an antiperspirant spray
For the
that is
scalp.
hypoallergenic, and I tell them to, if you're going to exercise tomorrow morning early, apply the antiperspirant spray in the night before you go to sleep, so that your sweat ducts actually are not exuding sweat, and they actually accept the antiperspirant. The following morning, they don't perspire as much, and so they're not drenched in sweat and producing sweat acne on the back or in the chest
Right.
or on
So, in terms of pre-shave, though, shampoo should be fine, but it really again depends on his skin.
Yes.
For some people, just using a shampoo and then shaving would feel like torture. It would feel like scraping the skin. So some people might prefer a pre-shave oil even,
Yes.
right? Which warms up the skin a
That's
little
right.
more, or might even prefer a facial cleanser. It really depends on the skin. But if he finds the shampoo fine, that's fine. I've shaved myself, my legs or my underarms with just soap, and it's been fine. But I know some people who would just shriek if they did that. They really prefer a shaving product for those areas. Okay. My husband tends to get more pimples or bumps on his scalp. We just talked about that. So we talked about, yes, it can be due to styling products, absolutely, because
Yes.
there are pores there, so that can be
and the
comedogens.
comedogenic, yes.
Or they can be allergens like fragrance or dyes that irritate the inside of the pore, cause inflammation, possibly infection or acne. And then, or a Malassezia imbalance, in which case monolaurin is a great option for
Oh, yeah.
that. And then, like she said, controlling the sweat in case it's Malassezia folliculitis with an antiperspirant.
good.
I'm listening.
You're great.
And don't forget sunscreen. Okay, does using a hair cap affect normal hair growth? Hair
You-
cap like for swimming or for showering? I'm not sure. Hair caps for swimming would not cause it, except sometimes when it's rubber and you pull it.
Right. If it's very tight, like I go swimming regularly nowadays, and I like the big goggles, it's even graded so I can see while I'm going. I notice that if I bring it out here, I'm pulling some of the hairs. So if you do that regularly and you're pulling hairs, this is what you call traction alopecia. The traction alopecia is common
It's also called ballerina
in women who have long
baldness.
hair,
Yeah.
and
Who
then they
pull their hair
pull
back.
it, and so they'll get thinning of the hair in front, right? So what I tell people like that is minimize the
Don't
traction.
make it so tight.
That's right.
Right? And not every day, but ballerina, it's called ballerina baldness for a reason, because they're in these tight buns all
right.
the time.
Yeah.
Traction alopecia, you're pulling the hair out from the root, right? So it's
Yeah.
a lot of stress on the follicles, which brings me, we talked earlier about androgenetic alopecia. We did not mention, and she talked very detailed about how hair grows, right? And she talked about telogen, which is that phase. Another
Oh,
kind
that's
of
very common
alopecia
nowadays.
is telogen effluvium.
Ah, that is
what it's
so
called.
common nowadays.
It's temporary hair loss due
Yeah.
to something really stressful.
Yeah, so when people come to see me about Telogen Effluvium, they're usually crying, basically, almost in tears. Why is my hair shedding? It's everywhere. My pillow, and everything else. I get up from bed and my hair is removed to get up with me. I refuse to get up with me. That is still down there. And there are plenty, So telogen effluvium is like that because, like I told you, 85% of your hair normally is in the growth phase. You stop many of them from growing, so they will fall.
Yeah.
It's commonly due to stress of some magnitude, like somebody got sick all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
that's why
traumatic.
COVID patients tend to get telogen effluvium.
I've seen
Yeah.
a lot of telogen effluvium during the last year and ongoing. Because of that.
pregnancy,
Yeah.
Chemotherapy, that's why a lot of cancer patients lose their hair and then it comes back after the
Right.
chemo is over. That's telogen effluvium.
Right.
That's basically the follicles are like, "Ee!"
Right.
and they stop.
If it's from fever, let's say you get typhoid fever
Mm.
today, 1 month, 2.5 months, 3 months later, you will begin to see that the hairs are falling, right? It's actually a good sign when that happens because that means the new hairs are pushing the old hairs that are just resting and doing nothing.
Yeah, so it looks
So,
like you're losing
and
more.
then that means in another month, you'll begin to see short hairs that are growing out.
Okay, great
However,
questions.
there's a different kind
It's-
of telogen effluvium when it goes into a chronic stage
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
not
yeah,
just
yeah.
acutely. If you have a series of stresses that you're not able to control, so you must identify what your
Yeah.
stress
Who
factors
asked
are.
earlier about if something is stress related? I told you this is gonna come up. Is it stress related? Yes. Whatever it is, yes. Okay, CN's asking. This is a great question that we talked about in such detail. Monolaurin being broad spectrum anti-infective or antimicrobial, will it affect my skin's normal or healthy microbial
No.
flora?
The reason for that is that monolaurin is a very natural product. It's probably, it's in, to start with, it's in mother's milk, about 17
It's
to
natural
18.
to human bodies,
Yes.
is what you're saying.
Yeah. What you do is when you eat foods and all that, you eat coconut oil, for instance, it will break down into the fatty acid components in the body. And those fatty acids, like I told you earlier, are what are made, the body tells the liver, I want some more fatty acids. Can you send over here? I need to repair this or whatever. So those fatty acids we eat are actually circulated around the body to make into the things that are needed, whether it's a hormone or an enzyme or a cell membrane. Okay, so what happens then is that those those particular fatty acids that we've been eating over time, the body recognizes them as native to the body.
So
And so
virgin coconut
therefore,
oil and monolaurin.
monolaurin and virgin coconut oil, when you take it entirely, it is antimicrobial, but they respect the native cells.
Right.
Then,
They're friends,
Right.
right? So it's
unlike the microbes, which have a totally different kind of cell membrane, and here comes the COVID, which is spiky. It's a totally different bingo, monolaurin.
and antibiotics work differently. Antibiotics come in and they're usually enzymatic
in their action.
right?
Yeah.
And they're really foreign. So they're foreign to our native cells,
Yeah.
and they're foreign to the bad bugs, right? But because the thing works enzymatically, the antibiotic that comes in doesn't recognize good from bad. So
That's
it,
right.
it really tends to do a napalm, like a blanket bombing of a lot of the healthy bugs too, right? In addition to the bad bugs. Whereas monolaurin and VCO will recognize, because they're so similar, the fatty acids, right, are native to each other. So they'll recognize which is a friend and leave them alone. But the infectious stuff that's not native, that's bad, that's what they'll target.
Along those lines, what's happening
Great
now
question.
is that many of the things that we are now using against COVID in our environment as disinfectants for bathrooms, sinks, and kitchens and floorings and all that are chemicals that are strong. They kill bacteria. They kill both the normal microbiota that we have as well as the bad bacteria that are there. So you eliminate them. And what's happening now is many of the microbiota are coming out and becoming dangerous themselves. They are
It's been
producing
funky.
diseases. They're funky. So that's what's happening actually in hospitals
Yeah.
with the COVID patients or the patients who are what we call critical. Oh my gosh, they are getting bacterial infections and fungal infections that are so rare and unusual organisms and resistant to the usual antibiotics we are giving. It is a big problem because the COVID itself is responding to the antiviral medications or the vaccine antibodies that you're already producing. But
We have another live stream on that. I'm going to interrupt this because we do have other questions and you're going to have to go very soon. We'll stay on a little bit longer because it took me a while to connect earlier, but she has studies. She has 3 ongoing for VCO and COVID. So, okay, just to share, Leah was following up earlier, the white hair that turned black again?
Yes.
Her father is not on any medication or maintenance. So I guess the short answer to that is we actually don't know
so
yet.
therefore have an executive checkup of his blood test. Check him out. Liver, kidneys, diabetes, thyroid, immunologic things,
Yeah,
Just
but
take a good look at it,
but I
because
think
there's got to be a reason for it.
there you go. So it's not clear, right? So she's hypothesizing at this point.
Right.
But blood
And
work
if there's
could,
none that's abnormal, at least you've gotten a basic blood test.
that's true, a
And
baseline to
in another
compare.
year, because once a year at least, as we grow older, there should be a complete blood accounting that you do to compare with the previous one. So you have a basic already, or if you have some basic, you compare
Yeah.
regularly as
Okay,
you go on.
so Dina's asking any recommendation for dry hair. We have a whole live stream on hair that you can look up, actually.
Remember, when you ask that question, it's really dry hair and scalp,
Mm,
right? Or unless you have dry hair but oily scalp. Some people are like that.
yeah.
Okay? So for dry hair only, it may be because you really are using products that are too strong.
Or irritating or
right.
allergenic.
Because shampoos have very different kinds of formulations.
Yeah, remember this is, we have keratin here, right? And we don't want to strip whatever oils or whatever, just anything harsh that you use on any part of your hair, skin, nails.
Mhm.
Remember, you're taking stuff away, right? You're stripping the skin's
Cuticle.
protective cuticles or oils, depending on where we're talking about, right? So really, the gentler, the better, period. Also, that includes, we haven't talked about it, heat treatments. But I don't want to
Oh,
get
yeah.
too much into that because we do have a whole
Hair
session
drying.
on hair, yeah. Which you can look up, and we talk a lot more about hair there.
Yeah, I think we
I
did
wanted
that.
to make sure I answered, here, Earl is asking, I have keratosis pilaris. I try to be religious with my 12% glycolic lotion. Any other recommendations?
Okay. If you have keratosis pilaris, that usually is associated, not always, usually associated with an atopic predisposition. Atopic means you have an inherited
Allergy.
tendency to develop allergies either of the lungs, so that's bronchial asthma, or of the nasal place, so you get this recurrent sneezing early in the morning. That's rhinitis.
Atopy is an allergy. yeah.
Atopy of the skin is atopic dermatitis. So people with a tendency for this atopic dermatitis also tend to have keratosis pilaris. I've seen people up to actually with KP that don't have atopic dermatitis, but may be associated with very diligent washing and cleaning and scrubbing and long time in the shower or bathroom with what we were talking about earlier, with very hot water and all that. You have to look at your
Yeah.
habits and change them if you are among those people.
Very
who are doing it.
gentle. Keratosis pilaris can be confusing also because it's bumpy, but it's actually very dry skin. So gentle, barrier repair. I have a video on YouTube actually where I give like a regimen for keratosis pilaris. Sarge is asking, most often men inherit the genes from their fathers, actually from the mothers, for hair loss,
No,
rather
no,
than
it
daughters.
can be from your father or your mother.
Okay, I thought it was mostly from the mother. So most often, men inherit the genes from their fathers than daughters when it comes to hair loss. Best to minimize hair loss at this early stage because my hubby might inherit it.
I'm so sorry to interrupt,
Go ahead.
but this was for me.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you, Gavin.
Well, you were asking about
So if it's inherited,
Yeah.
where is it inherited from? And you answered both.
both,
Either.
because women also have androgenetic alopecia, is what we call the one that is due to the fact that she has genes. You look at the family tree and you'll see the mother has a little bit of thinning here, and the pattern is kind of different from the men, in that men usually start with the M here going deeper and then thinning and then going backwards, or starting there and a little bit here, right? It's a different, there are 6 or 7
Okay,
types.
so, but the question is how to minimize
How
at
to
this
minimize?
early stage.
At the very early stage, you can change your parent, right?
No return, no exchange.
No, yeah, okay. At the very early stage, if you're afraid of it, like say in your 20s and you're beginning to see that, use Minoxidil already. I know some doctor friends of mine who have been using Minoxidil and then later on finasteride.
Yeah. There's
all
nothing
the
like
years,
prevention,
and it
guys.
works
There's
like a
nothing
dream.
like prevention.
Yeah.
So you start with
Start early.
all the stuff we were talking about earlier. Stress management.
There you
Don't
go.
pull your hair back. Gentle shampoo, gentle conditioner, gentle styling products or no styling products, and Minoxidil. Start early.
Most important, recognize what your stress is coming from.
Yeah.
Know yourself. Be honest with yourself. Okay, I'm exercising. Yeah, but you're exercising too much. There's also such a thing as stress from excessive exercise.
Okay, this is a good one.
Okay.
Ryan, awesome, awesome share. This issue needs to be debunked. Some YouTube dermatologists say never put VCO on your scalp if you have dandruff because the malassezia feeds on oil and will make the dandruff worse. How true?
The malassezia is actually loving coconut
Smart
oil
man.
because it's
Yeah.
the malassezia that is normally present in our scalp. These organisms are microbiota of our scalp. And what they normally do, whether it's the scalp skin or the rest of the body, is the malassezia break down the coconut oil, the organic oils that we have taken internally or applied. It breaks it down into its fatty acids. And now, because you have the fatty acids, the pH of the skin becomes acidic. And so we always say and thank the malassezia for giving us the acid mantle, which is one way for our body to fight against the coming in of organisms that are pathogenic.
So
No, no,
malassezia is actually important, but what he's saying is these people are advising do not use VCO if you have a malassezia overgrowth because it actually they like eating the VCO.
I should give you some pictures of my malas.
So malassezia feeds on sweat. Let's start with that. It's
Right.
not like if you feed malassezia VCO, it will enjoy the VCO. No.
Yeah.
It's these things actually live in a very comfortable balance.
That's what you call false news.
It's fake news.
Fake news, rather.
So, okay, there's actually a wonderful study she shared in that hair live stream that I mentioned earlier that talks about a recent study out of India that was actually sponsored by L'Oreal.
Oh,
that
yes.
showed
It's
VCO
fantastic.
as extremely
Just
effective.
this year it came out.
Just this year. Extremely effective on dandruff. Precisely because it
Send him
brings that microbiota
Yes.
back to balance.
Normalizes it.
So it's actually not the case at all.
At all.
Malassezia is native to our bodies and our skins. VCO's fatty acids as well are considered native to our skins. So monolaurin in particular is very effective against an overgrowth of malassezia without upsetting the balance even more.
There's
it's a
another
great
article
option.
which I think is a terrific article. It's written by University in Taipei, working with Spain. They are not at all VCO producing countries, which is what made me so impressed. And what they did was they looked into it was a systematic
Holy
review
crap, it's
of
11.
the world literature about the different oils that we are using for cosmetics
Okay.
and skincare.
We have a live stream on oils. I have to interrupt you. It's 11:01.
Oh, okay.
Okay, wait. So, is VCO's comedogenic? I always stay away from that person. You're totally correct. Those studies, we talk about that in another live stream as well. Do hair follicles regrow if they die?
No, they don't die to rest. They go into rest phase.
Right.
Remember that one?
Okay. On that note, folks,
And
because-
even when you're bald, that androgenetic alopecia, that hair can be stimulated. Remember I told you, you can inject from here the growth factors from your blood or the stem cells injected there and they grow. It's really amazing.
okay,
They
VCO to
don't die,
massage on my scalp before or after washing.
except for certain diseases.
Either. If you apply VCO after washing, depending, my daughter has extremely curly hair, so it's actually a great option for curly haired people. It won't look wet. It'll moisturize the curls, which is important. But for someone like me who has very fine hair, when I put VCO on my hair, it looks wet for a week. I look like it's nice. I can rock like a surfer girl kind of thing, but it will look wet, no? So some people will put it on before showering to protect their scalps. I need to let her go, folks.
I have to go.
Keep the questions coming. Mwah. She has meetings and research.
Thank you
and
for
everything.
listening.
But I will stay very, very quickly. I will not give you longer. Holy cannoli. Okay, how I really appreciate your time today, folks, and your awesome, awesome, awesome questions. We just put up actually a video on YouTube with my husband and my son talking about shaving, so that's pretty cool. Okay, thank you to my mom. Thank you to all of you. Please don't forget to social distance, even if you have been vaccinated, and wear your masks. We have been doubly vaccinated, so yay. Our clinic has been fully vaccinated, so yay. And please remember, you can shop all our stuff, vmvhypoallergenics.com or vmvhypoallergenics.ph. We're also on Viber in the Philippines. Our boutiques are open here and the clinic. And if you would like a teleconsultation with my mother or other doctors or nutritionists we work with, PM us and PM us your patch test results, and we can customize recommendations for you. And subscribe to our YouTube channel and our social media and all of that. And announcing the winners today. And that was the secret package that Gavin brought in. Check it out. Oops. Check it out. This is the hat.
I love it.
How cute is that?
I have one.
How cute is that, right?
I
Why am
need
I
one.
not? Why is it not on straight? Okay, so my glasses are messing with it.
don't
So
like
winners
it.
today, folks. Wait. Where'd it go? Where are the winners? I lost our winners today. Here we go. Okay, so our winners today. Congratulations to Ryan, Nathaniel Henson, Dino Salazar, and Earl Chad in the U.S. and in the Philippines. We will be sending you your baseball cap, which is really cool. Important to note, it is cotton, so it's washable. Great for clothing contact dermatitis because it's also very light colored. And it's perfect for the summer. It's not too hot. Congratulations to you three. And potassium azelaic is an anti-inflammatory. I'll answer that later. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.
Let's finish.